Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
Everybody's intention is to come to work and to help as many kids as we can. What I kind of see is sometimes it's the children who've never come in contact with the system for whatever reason are the ones who tend to fall through the cracks.
In recent weeks, we've brought you stories of child abuse cases, especially in the state of Minnesota.
Valley News Team's Rose Itzkovitz looks at the state's resources and asks why children are falling through the cracks.
Julie Hansen directs social services in Mahnomen County. She says her team only consists of one full-time and one part-time social worker for the entire county.
We have the highest poverty rate in the state of Minnesota. We have the highest tax rate in the state of Minnesota.
Meaning they have very little to work with in tax dollars.
What's the
That's
grand total?
Ballpark, 500,000.
Hansen says that's not nearly enough.
One number I can tell you, our out-of-home placement costs for children in foster care and juvenile delinquents is over $500,000.
Dr. Jeremy Carney teaches social work at MSUM. He says there's a large disparity in funds between urban places like Minneapolis and rural areas like Mahnomen.
Not only do urban areas have more people with the right expertise and degrees to do that type of work, they tend to pay better.
Still, the social workers tell me Minnesota as a whole does not pass around enough funds, which tends to show in tragedies like the ones we've seen recently.
A couple of years ago, that prompted the governor to form a task force to look at child welfare programming and child protection in particular in Minnesota.
Hansen says Mahnomen County does get some money from that, but the amount is based on population.
So for Mahnomen County, our amount is the minimum, which is a total of $75,000 a year.
But even so, $15,000 of that is withheld by the state, unless the county meets 93 requirements of performance measures the task force came up with. Minnesota Senator Kent Eakin says the task force is still planning on doing more. New legislation would allocate millions into a child welfare academy.
This academy would be training another 2,000 frontline child protection workers and another 250 supervisors.
Senator Eakin says it still has yet to reach the Senate floor, but he's hopeful it will.
We do have a surplus this year, so the money is there. And this is one area where we should not be trying to cut corners.
That could be good news if it passes. Other good news, at least at MSUM, I'm told the social work major is growing in popularity.
There's a lot of hope in the fact that there are people coming through that really want to help, and I can see that in all my classmates.
Rose Itzkovitz, Valley News Live.
Senator Eakin tells us that the child welfare legislation has until May 20th to pass through the Senate floor, as May 21st is the session's deadline.
A Fargo woman has been identified as the victim of a deadly crash in Otter Tail County, Minnesota. On Friday, 26-year-old Rachel Sau was heading west on I-94 near Dalton when she was rear-ended by a semi driven by 33-year-old Dean Hedberg of Rockville, Minnesota. Authorities say the collision caused both vehicles to go off the interstate and enter a nearby rest area. Sau's vehicle went up in flames and she died of her injuries at the crash site. The semi-driver has injuries that are considered non-life-threatening.
We now know the name of the woman that died from injuries in a rollover while fleeing authorities over the weekend. 45-year-old Dina Peterson of Cavalier was taken to a hospital where she later died. Investigators say the crash happened on Highway 18, about 2 miles south of Cavalier. The report stated that Peterson almost rear-ended another vehicle and was swerving all over the road. She led law enforcement on a high-speed chase before her vehicle went into a ditch and rolled. Peterson was not wearing a seatbelt.
Make sure the rain moved on and left the valley with noticeably cooler temps. Let's find out from Hutch what's ahead for tonight. Hutch?
You did notice the change in temperatures then. Take a look at this. This is the change in temperature over the last 24 hours, and we are 32 degrees cooler right now than we were yesterday at this time in the FM area. Definitely a chill in the air, seeing temperatures go from the 80s to the 40s. A half inch to an inch of rain recorded across a couple of different swaths of rain, moving from Jamestown to Grand Forks and through Lakes Country. We still have remnant clouds, but there is some clearing out to the west, and we expect that clearing trend to really take hold as we go into the overnight hours. It will once again be a chilly overnight. I'll have details, though, on a warming trend that we get to enjoy for the remainder of the week. Details in a moment.
All right, thanks, Hutch. The Grand Forks Police Department has released surveillance pictures of 2 suspects in an armed robbery at the Canad Inns Hotel. Officers responded to the scene early Sunday morning to find one of the victims with minor injuries. The suspects are described as black men, about 20 to 30 years old. Anyone who recognizes these 2 or has any other information is encouraged to call Grand Forks Police at 787-8000.
A former North Dakota college student has been convicted in the killing of a drug dealer's father in Salem, Oregon. Attorneys representing 24-year-old Denzel Hawthorne argued that their client wasn't capable of murderous intent. They said he has an intellectual disability that was exacerbated by blows to the head he received while playing football in high school and at Trinity Bible College in Ellendale, North Dakota. The day before the August 2016 shooting, Hawthorne and a college teammate drove to Salem from North Dakota to collect on a drug debt. The dealer wasn't home and a struggle ensued with the man's father. The teammate pleaded guilty to murder in February and was sentenced to at least 25 years in prison.
A West Fargo man led police on a high-speed chase in town with speeds topping 100 miles per hour before he was arrested. Officers tried stopping 27-year-old Chad Oxner around 11:30 last night after he hit a curb. Police say he then took off through a construction zone on Cheyenne Street, went onto Veterans Boulevard, and then I-94. Police ended the chase near 13th Avenue and 9th Street East. Oxner was arrested later this morning for reckless endangerment, fleeing an officer, and a parole violation.
Bond was set at $2,500 for an East Grand Forks man after he decided to try and take a bite out of a police officer. Police in Mandan determined that 50-year-old Chad Cresson was drunk after falling off his bike and arrested him for DUI. Cresson was then taken to the hospital for treatment, where court documents say he was threatening officers. And once he was released from the hospital, he bit an officer on the forearm. He now faces numerous additional charges, including terrorizing.
We're learning that the mysterious substance that caused a Cenex gas station to close in Mahnomen County on Monday was non-toxic. The substance on a dollar bill was found to be carbohydrate powder that's used in athletic drinks. Sheriff Doug Creer says someone went into the store, purchased an item, and paid for it in cash. After the employee handled the money, they started to feel a burning sensation on their hand. A total of 7 employees have been treated and released from the Mahnomen Health Center.
In the next 2 years, North Dakotans will need a real ID to get on a plane or enter federal facilities. The North Dakota Department of Transportation has started issuing these IDs in Bismarck with an expected statewide rollout later this month. Now, to get a real ID, you're going to need to present documents that establish your identity, date of birth, social security number, residency, residential address, and any name changes. The standard state driver's license is valid for boarding domestic flights or entering federal facilities until October of 2020.
The May Day baskets you might have gotten when you were a kid have undergone a big change in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Compliments of the United Way. Instead of peanuts, mints, or other types of goodies, the United Way baskets have treats for the imagination. They are filled with books. Volunteers have been busy today preparing their special brand of May Day baskets and taking them to child care centers in the metro area, even taking time to read to the children, emphasizing how important learning to read and enjoying reading really is. This is the 7th year of the United Way's May Day book basket deliveries, promoting literacy.
Don't jump the gun. Later on Valley News Live at 6, why you're being told to wait until cleanup week before hauling your junk to the curb.
And a number of ideas are floating around about a project involving a busy stretch of road in Fargo. We'll tell you where and what changes could be coming up next.